Welcome to Behind Two Pallets. This week we're going to cover the hottest issue to hit BHVR in the face since the NFT debacle, that issue being the recent discovery that DBD has been leaking our IP addresses while playing their game. Also, we'll cover the Portrait of a Murder in depth, from the new killer, her abilities and perks, and the new survivor and his perks. We will discuss the player test build. Dead by Daylight is going to be making its way to the Epic Store. We will also cover cross progression and how it works. And last but not least, we will say farewell to the Stranger Things. I'm your host, Bill Overbeck. And I'm Rupture, Artistic Deceptor. The big news this week, some DBD streamers ran into internet issues, DDoS attacks, which brought down their internet. One streamer was even swatted. That is terrible. Indeed. I have some inside information from a past employee stating that they had brought up the IP vulnerability around 6 months prior to this happening, back around June or July. That is insane that a leak would go unfixed for that long once BHVR knew about it. It is very sad. I wanted to give BHVR the benefit of the doubt that the leaked IPs were from another place, but it's coming from the game. Getting a streamer's IP is as simple as getting them to click a link to a website that is on a server that you are running. But it seems people have found a way to get it while playing a match of DBD. As of right now, if you are concerned about this, you should use a VPN service to route all your traffic through them. This will hide your IP as well as encrypt your traffic between you and the VPN service. I have confirmed with my source that a VPN will do the trick. First, the NFT communication debacle, and now the IP vulnerability going unfixed for over 6 months, BHVR has really broken the trust of their content creators, as well as anyone else who plays their game. It's truly sad to see them acting like this and not being transparent or prioritizing our safety over their profit. The PTB went live on Tuesday. If you're on Steam, you can switch to the PTB and try out the new killer. To select the PTB, simply go to your library, right-click on DBD and select Properties. You'll see this window. Click on Betas. Then in the dropdown, select the PTB. Your game will start to download the PTB game files. Beware though, switching to and from the PTB can take an extended period of time. We'll have some links in the description for more info on the PTB and how to get it. Now let's talk Portrait of a Murder. The new chapter coming to DBD was announced last week and is live on the PTB. It features a new killer, the artist, and also a new survivor, Jonah Vasquez. Don't forget the new map as well. We're going to detail her ability and her perks. First up, her ability. Press and hold the power button to charge Birds of Torment. Once fully charged, tap the attack button to summon a Eyrie of Crows. You can repeat the action quickly by continuously holding the power button and tapping the attack button again. When at least one Eyrie of Crows is summoned, it stays idle for a limited time. Spawning a new Eyrie of Crows will extend the time the previously spawned Eyrie of Crows stays idle. Tap the ability button to propel the Eyrie of Crows into flight. Eyrie of Crows can inflict damage for a short distance when flying. This is indicated to the killer by the Eyrie of Crow's flight path. Once a Eyrie of Crow continues past the flight path, it will no longer inflict damage, but can now pass through any obstacles and reveal nearby survivors using killer instinct. In this phase, Eyrie of Crows will create a swarm around survivors they hit, allowing the killer to see the swarm's aura on the survivor. The survivor can repel the swarm by completing the repel action or entering a locker. During this time, the swarm's aura is not shown to the killer. A survivor being swarmed will receive damage if hit by a second Eyrie of Crows. Here's an example of using the killer ability to scout generators. Next up, an example of using the killer ability to scout lockers. Yeah. And here's an example of the killer doing damage to a survivor that's just inside the Eyrie of Crows flight path. Now let's take a look at her perks. She has a Scourge Hook perk that works just like Pinhead's but has a different effect. She also has a perk that triggers once each survivor has been hooked at least one time. And a new Hex perk that lets her rebuild broken totems. Let's go through the Scourge perk first. At the start of a trial, up to 4 random hooks are changed into Scourge Hooks. You see their auras in white. Anytime a survivor is hooked on a Scourge Hook, the generator with the most progress explodes, instantly losing 15% progress and will start to regress. Survivors repairing the generator will scream, revealing their location. You can see from this game clip where I hook a survivor on the Scourge Hook and a generator nearby explodes. Tell us about Grim Embrace, Rup. Each time a survivor is hooked for the first time, you gain a token. Upon reaching 4 tokens, Grim Embrace activates. The entity blocks all generators for 30 seconds. the Obsession's aura is revealed to you for 4 seconds. Hex Pentimento is up next, another Hex perk, oh boy. This perk is pretty unique and will likely require the use of more Hex perks to get value. You see the aura of destroyed totems. You can perform a ritual on a destroyed totem to resurrect it as a rekindled totem. The more rekindled totems that exist, the greater their effects. 1 rekindled totem decreases survivors' healing speed by 30%. 2 rekindled totems decreases survivors' repair speed by 30%. 3 rekindled totems decreases survivors' recovery speed from being down by 30%. 4 rekindled totems decreases survivors' exit gate opening speed by 30%. 5 rekindled totems, all totems are blocked by the entity. As more and more totems are rekindled, the effects are added on top of the other effects. When a rekindled totem is removed, its remains are consumed by the entity. Blessing a rekindled totem also destroys the totem. You can see from these game clips that a destroyed totem's aura is shown in white. As you approach the totem, you can rekindle it, and it recreates the totem. Survivors can cleanse the totem, completely destroying and removing it from the map. However, if they don't, and you get all 5 totems, you can see that the entity blocks them, and they can no longer be destroyed, and the survivors suffer all 4 penalties from the perk. What kind of news show would we be if we didn't feature her Mori? Not a good one. Let's definitely take a look at it. And here it is, the Mori, from the killer perspective. A very cool Mori. I really like the dire crow that flies up out of the survivor. I don't plan on seeing it firsthand anytime soon, but it was fun to watch. The new survivor, Jonah, is a CIA agent genius, and he brings with him 3 new perks. We're going to run through all the perks. First up is his perk, Overcome. Overcome. When you are injured, you retain the movement speed bonus for 2 seconds longer. Overcome causes the exhausted status effect for 40 seconds. Overcome cannot be used when exhausted. Here's a game clip that shows how much more distance you get using the perk Overcome. As you can see, the 2 extra seconds gives you quite a bit more distance. Corrective Action is up next. Let's take a look. Corrective Action, you start the trial with 3 tokens and gain a token, up to a maximum of 5 tokens. For every great skill check. When a survivor fails a skill check while cooperating with you, 1 token is consumed and their failed skill check becomes a good skill check. As you can see in this game clip, I've missed a skill check, but it turned into a good skill check. And here, I'm working on a generator and you can see my tokens going down on corrective action because my teammate is missing skill checks. Seems like you should get your team to run this perk for you, Bill. Like you have room to talk. We should do a skill check contest sometime. Sure thing, but next we have his last perk. Boon Exponential is his final perk, obviously another Boon perk. No Sherlock. Boon Exponential. Press and hold the ability button near a dull totem or hex totem to bless it and create a Boon totem. Soft chimes ring out in a 24-meter range. All survivors within the Boon totem's range recover 100% faster and can completely recover from the dying state. You can only bless 1 totem at a time. All equipped Boon perks are active on your Boon totem. This Boon perk essentially gives anybody in the range of the Boon totem unlimited unbreakables. As you can see from this game clip, I've blessed a totem with Boon Exponential. When the killer downs me inside the totem's range, I'm able to recover at 100% speed and pick myself up off the ground. That does it for the new killer and survivor stuff. As you've seen from our footage, there is finally a new map, just in time as Hawkins gets removed. The new map has new tiles and new loops. It also has a new shack and a new main building. The shack is laid out the same, but has a new look. The main building, however, is a tall structure. It consists of 2 levels and 3 stairs leading up to the 2nd level. Keeping with tradition, it also features the lovely breakable walls that every killer loves. Let's take a look at some footage of the new map. Here's some game footage of the new map. As you can see, it's very bright. That is pretty bright. Let's take a look in the main building. That's a pretty fancy bird nest. There are 2 floors in the main building. Let's take a look upstairs. Pretty fancy painting. Here's some of those breakable walls we were talking about. There's some new tiles and some old tiles. There's hills, and there's also dugout areas that are similar to hills, but they're inverted. I think it's a good time for the plays of the week. Don't you, Rupture? Sure. What do you think we have this week? If I had to guess, maybe some deception, a flashlight save, something new. First up for the play of the week, we've got me going against the new Crow Lady on the PTB, and she's clearly never met Deceptibill. Ah, so we got some deception plays in store for the viewers today. You don't know how bad I wanted to jump out of that locker. She knows she saw me up here. She's like, am I insane? Am I going insane? Oh, man, she didn't even check your locker. I like when she falls. Wait, Bill, like, it gets better. And I just work on a generator. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, oh no, not again. The same play. Hey, it's not my fault if she falls for it again. Oh. Now the key here is deception is back off cooldown. No way, I can't believe she checked that locker. Oh, it's evil. It's so evil. A lot of people don't have a lot of perks yet, so they just kind of have to slap together whatever they get. What does this say? Oh, it's like we're gen rushers is what I get. Spend less time looking in lockers. Wow, toxic Rupture. Now this one is just a standard flashlight save. Big boggies. And here we were spectating and we watched a killer get a play of the week. You have to be careful. You actually can't get out. Wow. What a dumbass. Now let's discuss some news that dropped this week. DBD will be hitting the Epic Store in December. It will feature crossplay with all other platforms. It will also include cross progression with the Stadia. BHVR also announced that Switch cross progression has been put on hold. This is no surprise, as Nintendo has historically been reluctant to let cross progression happen on its platform. Correct. The main issue is when it comes to purchase DLC. Cross progression of earned blood points and unlocked perks is the easy part. It gets muddy when DLC is purchased on, say, PS4, and now that person wants to play that DLC on the Switch. Nintendo doesn't see any profit from the purchase of the DLC, so they are reluctant to give it for free to a user. This is not just Nintendo. This is the problem with cross progression on every platform. Don't look for cross progression from Switch to Stadia at any time soon, nor from PC to console. Time is almost up to grab the Stranger Things DLC. Your last chance to buy the Stranger Things DLC is coming up. The DLC will be removed from the stores on November 17th. All Stranger Things content is on sale until then. I think the Switch sales ends on November 8th, but those 3 people won't notice. So if you're a collector, don't forget to get the cosmetics for Steve, Nancy, and Demo Puppy. Remember, you can still use all the content you purchase. The only thing that will be gone from the game completely is the map, Hawkins National Laboratory. Laboratory? Laboratory. What do you think, you're British now? Think you're all refined and proper? Do you want some Grey Poupon too? Haha, fine. Hawkins National Laboratory. Moving on. The shrine this week is Brutal Strength and Lightborn for the killer perks, and Botany Knowledge and Wake Up for survivor perks. Pick them up for 2,000 shards or use them to turn your shards into blood points. Never. I have a shard hoarding problem. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like and leave a comment on your thoughts of the new killer or survivor or any of the other news that we talked about. And don't forget to stop by the stream sometime. Santa Bill will be around every Saturday in December giving away DLC codes for various DBD DLCs as well as a lot of other Steam codes for various games. He's your host, Bill Overbeck. And he's still number 2, Rupture. Thanks for watching and see you next week.